Hey guys, welcome back to Finish Awesome Friday. So we are back, it's the new year. We hopefully have enjoyed ourselves over the holiday period, and now we can get back our focus and look at how we can become more awesome in 2018 and beyond. It's never a short-term goal, guys. It's always for the long term. So don't think about these crash course diets or things that are going to get you fitter and slimmer for this year, this summer, okay? If you've been doing the groundwork all through last year, you should be feeling better now and be easier to attain your goals this year. And look at it each year, chipping away, starting to work towards the goals, okay? This should help us do that. So for the last 3 videos, we've been talking about diet. Today, we're going to start talking about training, okay? So the 3 layers of awesome we want to look at. The first one, the most important foundation, is that your energy pathways are correct. You should be utilizing the correct energy pathways to reach your goals. So if you're doing that, the next thing we look at is then manipulating volume, intensity, and density to enhance those goals, okay? So we can look at the ways that you would periodize your program to attain better results from there. And then your last thing you're looking at is then your accessories, your extra work, the things you can do that will give you that extra 10% and take you from great to awesome. Okay, that's always the way we're looking at things. So what are energy pathways? Okay, there's 2 energy pathways in the body. Okay, we have our anaerobic, without oxygen, that means energy systems. That's the phosphagen and the glycolytic systems. Okay, and we have our aerobic, which is with oxygen. Obviously, the energy pathways without oxygen do not require oxygen to process to turn themselves into the energy, the ATP that we need in the body, whereas aerobic stuff does. It requires the oxygen to go through from there, which is why it's longer based duration stuff, why it's more endurance based stuff. Okay, so that is your oxidative system. So breaking it down even further, we go through each one. So your phosphagen system, obviously this is an anaerobic. There's 2 of the anaerobic ones. The first one is phosphagen. Phosphagen is your extremely short, very sort of high impact, high intensity work. Okay, you're thinking power based stuff like throws and jumps, and you're thinking strength stuff like heavy 1 rep maxes and up to 5 rep maxes, and you're thinking about short distance sprinting. Okay, so whether it's 10-15 seconds of sprinting work. Okay, your general guidelines are here. Okay, you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 10 sets. You're looking at anywhere between 1 to 5 reps. The time you're doing the exercise should be between 0 to 20 seconds. Your intensity will depend on your goals, but for power, it's generally lower intensity, lower weights. So what you're thinking about from jumps and throws, as I said before, that is your lower end intensity stuff. And then as you go higher than that, that's all power. When you go into 80% plus, that phosphagen system, when you're using 1 to 5 reps and all the rest of it, will build your strength system, okay? Will build up your strength. It's all to do with the nervous system, and it's all to do with enhancing that, but that, again, goes too far into detail of it. All you need to know is that if you're doing something for a very short amount of time at maximum effort, then that is going to be your phosphagen system, okay? And that's what you will be doing, through your workouts. The rest ratio is normally higher for phosphagen-based stuff because it takes longer to recover the sort of energy needed for that effort, okay? So that's why when people do maximum lifting, sort of powerlifting and stuff like that, they have such long rests. It's because it allows that energy pathway to recover, okay? So you need longer rests from there. Activities you can think of, off the top of my head, just quickly: 100-meter sprinting, 1 rep max squat, and some throws. Okay, they would be 3 great examples of a simple way of thinking about the phosphagen system. It's very short based, it's explosive, it's powerful, and depending, again, as I say, the weight on your back or the weight that you're using will depend on what you're trying to enhance. But it's power and strength based stuff. The glycolytic system, okay, and I'm sorry if I keep saying it wrong. It's very much a tongue twister, this one. So the glycolytic system utilizes glycogen in the body. That is what our body stores in the muscles for energy. Okay, once you start going above 6 reps generally and over 20 seconds of effort, you'll start getting a lactic acid burn. That lactic acid burn is the waste product of the glycogen in the muscles. So that's when you know you're hitting the right button with it, okay? So the general guidelines here: 3 to 8 sets, 6 to 15 reps, 20 seconds up to about 2 minutes is going to be the range you're going to be falling into in terms of time-based stuff. The intensity is normally going to be somewhere between 60 to 80%, but could be a little bit lower or higher depending on who you are, what sex you are. Those sort of things can all come into play, but a general guideline, 60 to 8% is going to be about right. And the rest ratio doesn't necessarily have to be 2 to 1, but it has to be a little bit longer because obviously what you're looking to do is recover from the bout of lactate. Normally when you get a lactate burn or the pump or whatever it is, you're normally waiting for that to just subside a little bit and you'll rest before going again, okay? The goal of working in this zone is to get better at doing that, for the body to flush out the lactic acid and for you to come back into another bout. And that's what a lot of cyclists work on and a lot of athletes work on, is being able to replenish and basically get yourself ready to go again at a high intensity in terms of there. But just generally thinking about that, moderate weights, moderate sort of distances, but still high intensity. You're still pushing yourself as hard as you can, okay? But what will happen is after 20 seconds you'll fall into this energy pathway, because that is what the body naturally does. It hasn't got enough creatine phosphate in the system for the phosphogenic system to sort of keep going, so it then slips into the glycolinic system, and that's when we get the lactic acid burn and it starts to pump from there. Activities that you're looking at sort of over 200 meters in terms of rows and runs and things like that. You know, when you're thinking about weights, you're thinking about higher repetition stuff. So you start thinking about bodybuilder sort of type rep schemes, but you don't have to be doing bodybuilder training to hit those rep schemes, but it's just that sort of rep schemes you want to be. So between 6 to 15 reps. So you're getting that pump in the muscle. You should be feeling the muscle, you know, getting more swole as you're doing the exercise. That's how you know you're hitting that right pathway. And if you're doing it in terms of a performance bracket, then it should be, you know, working you hard and getting that lactic acid pump and burn in the body from there. And then higher intensity based cardio activities like skipping ropes and sort of tire flips and stuff like that generally are good tools to use within this zone again, because they'll get you to push that zone as far as you can. Once we go into the aerobic zone, you're looking at the oxidative system. So that is going to be your longer base duration stuff. You're looking at 1 to 5 sets of 15 or more repetitions. If you're looking at time, it's anything normally when it goes beyond 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you're normally then kicking into that zone. And then obviously your intensity level is going to be much lower. It's normally 60% or less in terms of the weight you want to use or in terms of the intensity you use on the body. And the work to rest ratio, you will normally be able to recover much quicker in terms of bouts of this system, because it's not so taxing on the body. You can't go 100% all the time. What will happen is naturally, if you went on a bike, for example, and started going at full kilt on it, after about 10 to 20 seconds, you'll start getting a real lactic acid burn in the body. And then after a while, the body will naturally just start taking the brakes back and taking them back, and you won't be able to produce the force that you need to, because there won't be the energy sources there. So naturally, the body will start putting you more and more into an oxidative state from the phosphogen state, okay? And that's just how the body works. So that's why as you go along, when you start running, for example, you would run, and if you were running as fast as you could, you would start slowing down until you actually ended up having to walk, because you would need to get the oxygen into the body, and you would need to be able to utilize that energy source for longer duration time. So the body naturally will put you into that state anyway, but to help manipulate it, at least you now have general guidelines to start working on those. So longer base stuff, 800 meters or more in terms of running. You're looking at 1,000 meter plus rows. In terms of weights, as I say, 15 plus reps on there. Or another way to work the oxidative system is to set up a circuit and just to do low intensity efforts on, say, 4 or 5 exercises, and just keep on going in a circuit for high amount of time, and that will work on the same system. Okay, you're still working the oxidative system, and it's not explosive and high intensity work. Okay, guys, so just think long based duration stuff from there. So when we're looking at that, what training matches our goal? Generally speaking, again, this is all general, but this will give you an idea of what you're doing. If your goal is to get more strength or more powerful, generally athletes and things like that want to work in that zone, you would spend more time in the phosphogen zone. As you go into the glycolytic zone, that sort of enhances muscle building and also enhances fat loss as well, because the lactic acid actually releases a lot of good hormones for metabolizing fat and also retaining muscle. So it's a real good zone to be hitting if your goal is fat loss. You want to spend most of your time there. And then if you're looking more endurance-based training or to build your conditioning up so your body processes energy much better, then you want to spend more of your time in the oxidative system and working on there. But never should you spend all your time in one zone and sort of completely forget the other one. A general guideline from there: if your goal is general fitness, then 1/3 of your training should be spent on each zone. So you should be spending 1/3 of your time lifting heavy weights, jumping, throwing, doing short-based explosive stuff. 1/3 of your time should be spent on moderate weights, probably muscle building stuff, looking at longer-based sort of cardio work, so sort of 200-meter runs or 400-meter bike rides or whatever it might be, whatever equipment you might have conditioning-wise. And then 1/3 of your time should be spent on that longer-based duration stuff, so going out for a 20 or 30-minute run, going doing sort of 20 plus repetitions of certain exercises just to work on that condition. You know, those sort of things should be done. So through the week, if you, for example, work 3 times a week, one session concentrating on each zone, for example, would be a perfect idea to set up your training to get that effect that you want. But if you want to specialize, if you want to enhance something, you need to spend a bit more time on it. So, for example, if you wanted to get stronger, okay, this is the next bit here, specialized fitness. So if you, for example, wanted to get stronger, your main system you would want to work on 50% of the time would be the phosphagen system. But you don't want to let the other systems fall off. That's the problem with linear progression and linear periodization. So to say that it concentrates on one area and not the other. We want a more concurrent style of periodization, which means that we want to still concentrate on all 3 elements, but if you want to get stronger, obviously 50% of your time spent on that phosphagen work, the other 50% split between the other 2. That means you can keep your endurance-based stuff there, you can keep that condition, you can keep building muscle, obviously, which is important for strength anyway, but then 50% of your time should be spent working on strength and power, okay? If you wanted to lose fat, then obviously, again, 50% of your time will be spent in that glycolytic zone, okay? You want to still be doing some longer base duration cardio, which would help with the fat loss anyway, but then you want to keep and retain your muscle and your strength, which means that, you know, some part of that training should be focused on that as well, okay? So that gives you a general guideline again, if you want to specialize. Now, normally when we look at periodization, this is the model that we want to follow. If you just want a general, all year round, just being fit, being stronger, being a bit leaner, then that goal is what you want to hit, okay? You don't want to be too worried about specializing any period of time on anything from there. But if your goal is to, you know, drop a certain percentage of body fat, or to build a certain amount of muscle, or to get a certain amount of strength built up within there, then obviously then you need to start looking at your specialist fitness, okay guys? So hopefully that just explains in a nice, brief, easy explanation of the energy pathways, why they're important and what you should be looking at to focus on there. Next week we'll start looking at how you can then manipulate your training and periodize your training to get the right results from there, okay? So that's looking at the actual intensity, the volume and the density, and how you manipulate those to get the goals you want. Any questions, obviously throw them in below, guys, or speak to me in person if you see me about. Send me an email. Obviously, I'll be trying to shoot out these videos again all through the year, different subjects and different things from there. But I'm always, you know, always here to sort of help you guys and give you as much advice as I can, really, from there. So have a great weekend, guys, and I'll see you next week for Movement Monday, which will return on Monday. Just be awesome.